Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And I'm Ryan.
This week we are covering Playdate news.
Recent indie releases.
And maxing and relaxing while Nick takes care of the hoopity boop 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 news and notes. Oh, I'm very excited about
Well,
this.
this was a combined Nick and Don effort, but appreciate that, Ryan.
Excellent.
It's Nick heavy. Well, thank you for listening. Let's get started with some. Well, I guess Ryan can handle the first couple notes here, right?
Yeah, well, let's see. What am I going to say? New episodes of the official Hello Play. Not, I do that all the time. Skitty. New episodes of the official Playdate podcast covering the, existing games and new games of the season are happening. We got that, general link for you. And then if you don't want to see spoilers, maybe don't click that link. But hey, we got that. Gotem? What does that even mean?
Got him. You don't have. I got him. You don't have to link them. You're always linking the
Got
Playdate's
'em.
podcast episodes
Gotem.
in our show notes, but I already took care of it. You don't need to do it.
I'm so off my game. I'm like, I'm just, sitting on the lounge chair while Nick and Don take care of all the news and notes this week. Just, I'm out of it. All right, go Tim. Go in. Go Tim.
Engadget new stuff. There'll be a link in the show notes to Cheyenne McDonald's reviews of the season 2 games that we're going to discuss today, CatchaDiablos and Shadowgate PD. So if you want to read her take on them, check out the link in the show notes.
I
And
want to
then
draw everyone's attention to the fact that I think Don meant for me to say that too, but after that first mishap, he just figured, man, just get Ryan out of here.
Ryan's on
Don, nice
vacation
work.
mode.
Right.
He's on short timers or something. Nicholas, you've got a couple of items here.
Donalus, thank you. So first up in the Northern Hemisphere, we're celebrating summer with Panic, who is running a summer bundle. There will be a link in the show notes to this summer bundle. And in that bundle, you receive 2 playdates, 2 covers, and 2 exclusive can coolers for $77 off.
Some
the
people call
retail
them
price.
koozies.
Yes. So enjoy the summertime with some yellow merch and some playdates. Share a playdate with a friend using this bundle.
I mean, we should say the price. I mean, the price is $4.49. You do save $77, but we're bearing the lead a little bit.
That's because I had not seen the price. Thank you, Don.
Oh,
So
Look at this
next
amateur news and note here.
I know. I apologize. Already messing it up. Next up, I wanted to highlight this itch application called XKPD, and it's an XKCD webcomic reader, and it uses the new networking features of the SDK. XKCD is a super long-running webcomic that is created and illustrated by Randall Munroe. And this is really, really quite cool. Ryan, have you met Randall?
I've not, but this is a very cool application for the Playdate. I'm really curious how this is happening. Are they taking a feed from some website and directly importing it? Or like, how does this utilize the networking capabilities of the Playdate?
Now, I haven't dived too deeply into this, but XKCD has an RSS feed, so my assumption is that it'd be pulling the comics from the feed and then displaying them in that way.
Wild.
Yes. Very cool.
Well, if it wasn't stated already, that is free if you want to catch up on all the XKCD. It's really easy to do so if you got a Playdate.
And this was XKPD, and it was developed by Paul Straw. All
there you
right.
go.
Don, why don't you take this next one?
Yeah, I think it was Ollie Ko who posted that or maybe it was Muflon Cloud. Well, anyway, somebody posted that the O3C podcast is currently featuring the Playdate, and they're going through season 2 and talking about the season 2 games. And O3C is our 3 cents podcast. And they seem to do, I wasn't familiar with it, although I did kind of recognize their logo. And so when I clicked on it, they had done season one. So maybe at some point I had listened to season one. So anyway, there'll be a link to season one and a recent episode. So if you want to jump into season two, you can see that as well. But MUFON Cloud is on the latest episode talking about
Whoa.
Shadowgate and CatchaDiablos. And it seems like they're interviewing devs as part of this season two series. So if you want to get more Playdate podcasting, check out the OC3 podcast. And there's like Switch seasons and our favorite game seasons. And I think there was like our all-time favorite game seasons, throwback seasons, that kind of thing. So anyway, give it a look.
I'll definitely check that out. Thanks for recommending.
Yeah, yeah. And then also, I saw today, I did listen to O3C. I have not listened to this podcast. Cable Sasser is on My Perfect Console podcast. I saw this today. I don't know what his perfect console is, so I guess you'll have to listen and find out.
I've got a pretty good idea.
Oh, Ryan, did you listen?
No.
Oh, his favorite console is the Atom by Coleco. I don't know, but anyway, if you want to listen to that, Cable's always a good listen, good time. So
Yeah.
check that out. There'll be a link in the show notes to a post about that. There you go.
Cool. Good finds, Don.
Yes, lots to listen to on top of the official Panic podcast. Gosh, so many podcasts right now. That's not a bad thing though. You don't have to listen to them all at once. You can spread them out.
You're saying we're in the wrong space.
Yeah, we need to come up with a new medium.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Should we
TikTok
get
Shorts?
advertising space on Blippo Plus?
Blippo Plus, Blipcast. Yeah,
I was hoping it wouldn't come up this episode, but there it is.
Incorrect.
Man. I did
love
watch
some
Blippo, by the way. I did actually sit there and watch some Blip. Well, yeah, I tried. I feel like I'm lost. So I don't know if that's
Thank
the
you.
vibe that you're going for. Is like no matter where I jump in, I would be lost.
Okay.
Is
Don't start it. Don't get him started, Don.
I would be happy to shepherd you through this experience because I'm a little sad that neither of you have hopped on the Blippo train. It's something that I enjoy very much each week. So anyway, maybe after this podcast we can talk.
Can I ask one small Blippo question?
Please.
I'm
I've been
pretty
dying.
sure one of the shorts that I saw I had already seen. Is that normal? It was like a Gumby style animated thing.
Those are changing each week.
Oh, okay. So I just saw a different episode, maybe. Okay.
As far as I know.
All right. I was not invested in the deep lore of the Gumbyverse.
Okay.
Whatever it's called. Just assumed it was the same thing. Fetch. So fetch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on.
Good throwback, Don. Nicely done.
Uncranked. This isn't really a corner. Uncranked slice. Slice of uncranked. 2 degrees of uncranked. Ryan, do you want to do this? You want me to do it? I mean, we basically talked about it last week, but
I had nothing to do with this week. Is this left over from last week?
This is leftover, but I feel like it's still relevant.
Somebody say it. I'm on vacation this week.
Oh, okay. If you're an artist, there's still time to join up with the Project Coffee Table Art Book and or the 2026 Playdate Community Calendar, which today is July 1st. So I just rolled over my calendar and I rolled over from very good art to more new very good art. It's very summary for July. So I'm looking forward to the 2026 calendar. Reach out to Zanya via Discord, Zanya Lasagna, or by email, uncrankedproductions with no E in cranked at gmail.com. If you'd like to stay up to date on all the uncranked happenings, don't forget the Substack, uncrankedpdzine.substack.com. Again, there is no E in uncranked.
Don, you were great at that.
Yeah. I just read through the latest issue of Uncranked that I had received, and very good issue. Very excited to see what's coming up next.
Was this number 7?
I believe it was number 7. It was the one with an interview with Cable.
Cable, yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Um, very
And I
good.
don't know if you guys saw, but there was just a preview of issue number 8 released on the TubeUbes of Uncranked today. Um, I have no I have no link for that in the show notes for you because I did not compile the news and notes. If you're wondering, dear listener, what's happening, why I'm on vacation, and it's not a news and note boycott on my part. I had a lovely conversation with the one Nicholas Baldridge and said, hey, friend. What do you think about sharing some duties here? And he said, yes, I would love to share duties. And so this is the first week of duty sharing. And then evidently he roped Don into it too. So Don, I'm sorry you became a part of all this, but that's
There's
how
no
things went down
roping.
on my end.
You see a note, you throw it in there. That's been always been our
That's the
MO.
MO. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Very, very kind of you,
despite
Don.
Ryan's protestations, I have included the link to the YouTube video
Oh,
for the
thank
issue
you.
8 preview.
Now I
So
can
have
keep
I.
sipping on my mocktail and soaking in the neon rays from my basement and living the life. Thank you guys.
Why are they different links?
It's an excellent question.
Or are we
Oh.
discussing show notes on there again? That's
Don't we
that's
always?
that's my favorite
Yeah,
part of our podcast.
it's an important part. The community needs to participate in our, trying to figure out
While you
the
guys figure
order.
out the links, I'll just step in here and let you know that there's some destination updates. This is season 2, more spoilery stuff. So once again, we're going to have a link to the main channel of Destination Playdate, and you can go check them out if you like. And if you don't want spoilers, then don't go over there. But keeping up with those season 2 James. I think that's going to do it for the news and notes today, which means someone's got a bibbity boop, skibbity boop us into the indie inventory. Oh boy, my mouth isn't working quite right. I was on vacation during the news and notes. So, Don, save me from myself once again, pretty please, with the indie inventory.
Mr. Kitty is opening a restaurant and he needs your help cooking the books.
What?
You,
Don, are you okay? I just asked for
yes,
help with indie inventory.
yes. Talking about accounts retrievable. You play as a desktop dog, opening files, installing programs, and managing money. Use various apps to assist in running the restaurant, maybe even sabotage the competition. Who knows what may happen on the computer? So this came out, I think, while we were recording our last episode or around then, and I neglected to mention it last week. So this is a game by James Gameboy. It was made for a game jam, but how good is that name? Accounts Retrievable. I had to mention it. And the
Perfect.
concept is great. So downloaded, haven't played yet. But it's been really hard to play not season games because I'm trying to devote so much time playing season games.
Well, we
Totally.
also have less of a gap between recordings, so
That's true.
it's more of a challenge than usual.
We've been cranking out episodes.
I
But
don't
anyway,
I don't know if you got that James Game Boy follow up to your comment on the itch page for
I
accounts
did.
retrievable, but thought I'd let the audience know that evidently there is a new, slightly better version that will be up. I guess it already happened since it was last weekend, so maybe it's all updated now. Maybe
It
that's why you
was
didn't say anything
it
because
was
it's already
updated.
happened.
It was updated yesterday, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's been freshly updated. Go check out Accounts Retrievable. Link in the show notes.
Cool. Good find.
Sure. We did get, I'll have to look at who mentioned it. Someone mentioned it on our Discord that we should mention the names of the games after we're done talking about them, which is something that Nick and I strive to do because it annoys us about other podcasts when they don't do that. So we will all commit, right guys, to trying to do that more often.
Huzzah.
Mention the names of
Yes,
games more often. Okay,
I
so
should be committed. Yes.
yes. Next up is Black Hole Visitor Center by
That's Black
Giant
Hole Visitor Center.
Berto. In this small Playdate game, you control several orbital rings, trying to avoid asteroids and collect visitors to your beautiful Black
Ooh,
Hole Visitor Center. in order to make money for the company you work for.
Huh.
So yeah, you select rings, you avoid asteroids, collect visitors. It is a small game, but as far as I can tell, it's complete. It's not just a prototype. It says one of the prototypes, but I think they polished it up. Anyway, it fits
This
the,
GIF is very compelling, Don.
it is, it looks kind of cool.
Agreed. Yeah, I've been mesmerized as Don's been speaking here with the visuals of this game. It looks really interesting. Just downloaded it, as a matter of fact.
It is Name Your Own Price. Black Hole Visitor Center is Name Your Own Price by Giant Berto. So check it out. And that will do it for the indie inventory today. Ryan, would you like to read the games on sale? Is that okay?
Please, please, please.
Are we
Yes,
going to
yes.
put you out of? Is that too
I,
much
I can,
effort or?
I can do that from my lounge chair. Let's do
Okay,
this. Okay. Are there any new catalog games since last week? I don't think so, right?
no.
Okay. All right. So speaking of on sale games, we've got Castle Kelmore at 33% off, 12 down to 8. We've got Horrified Hector, 25% off from 4 to 3. Wait a minute. Let's see how many get. Okay. Yeah, I can do all these. Castaway Samurai, 3 to 2, 33% off. Magic Castle, 6 to 3, 50% off. Another 50% off game is Penrose from 2 down to $1. Speaking of $1 games, we've got Paper Pilot from 3 down to 1, 67% off. We've got Piggy Ricky, one of my former picks of the week, 60% off from $5 down to just $2. The Tartines Show is also 67% off from 3 down to $1. Play Dice is 38% off, 8 down to 5. And Spike 2, The Great Emu War, I feel like this was on sale last week too, from 5 down to 2, 60% off. Zowie, got some good sales this week. Several $1 games. Lots of like 60%, 50, 60, 67% off games. Lordy, looks like we need to put this in the link of the show notes today, right? Right?
Indeed. Yeah, it's there. For
Cool.
$28, you can buy every game on sale right now. Isn't that crazy?
That is that is bonkers. Did you just do that math right now, Don?
I did. That's 10 games. And Castle Kelmore is $8. So I mean that's the bulk of the whole deal here. I'm tempted to
Jenny.
buy it, by the way. Should I bite? What do you guys think? Are you guys going to
I
spring
mean,
this on us as a pick of
I'm
the week?
I'm not gonna tell you no about buying a Playdate game. Uh,
I don't know. Might have to go sell some blood after the show.
Single digit games. All right. Well, with that, as Don contemplates that life choice, why don't I boop us into Hoobity Boop Boop? Not our picks of the week. This week's season 2, week 4 games. Is that right? CatchaDiablos and Shadowgate PD. How about we start with CatchaDiablos? And this game is, boy, howdy. How do you describe this game? This is like a rotary movement type game where you are trying to catch characters, Diablos, you might say. And as you do this, you are both catching and moving across the screen with a rotary motion. This is happening with the crank, of course. And as you encircle these different characters, Diablos, the developers compared it a lot to like catching Pokemon. You're trying to catch a bunch of them and trying to catch them all. But at the same time, it's not like an RPG game like you might think of Pokemon. It's much more action based, I would say. And these, I'm just going to say it, man, these Diablos are the star of the game. There are so many of them and so many different permutations. But one of the things I heard, I can't remember if it was AFK Mario or Hoven Paul, who was saying that the aesthetic for this particular game was how did he put it? I think it was spooky but not scary. They're
Hmm.
these really kind of like friendly, spooky type characters that sort of, don't off-put you if you're a little squeamish. They're just kind of really interesting to look at, and I found myself quite mesmerized by all the different types and incarnations and movements and AI paths of these characters that they would take. Um, yeah, I really found myself fascinated with this game. But before I get too much more into this, oh, P.S., I should probably also say that there are, in addition to Diablos to be caught, there are power-ups as you make your way throughout. You catch a certain number of Diablos, and your bar on the right-hand side goes up, at which point there's like a power-up that appears somewhere in the dungeon that you're catching Diablos in. And once you find that power up, you sort of encircle it, and that opens it to be caught. Could be a number of different things, from enlarging your circle that you're using to catch Diablos to speeding up your speed or slowing down the Diablo speed once they're in the circle. Lots of different interesting power ups here. But really, the core of this game is the circular rotary motion mechanic, I would say. With all that said, Don, what did you think about CatchaDiablos?
So I'm a fan of this studio, Amano. Like they make these charming games with clever ideas and really charming art, cute art. And I did listen to the podcast for this one. So I was kind of, well, I'd already played the game, I guess. So I played it a few times and then listened to the podcast. But it helped give me a bigger appreciation for what they're going for. And another thing that helped was watching the Destination Playdate episode because power-ups would show up and I didn't really understand why, but there's these like cracks in the ground. I'm not sure if you really explained that. There's these cracks in the ground, and the more you circle the salt around the cracks in the ground, those will expose power-ups as well. And it just felt random to me, and I didn't realize I was doing it. So then once I started noticing the cracks, I was like, oh, then I could chase them down and really focus on it. And that kind of added legs. Well, I wouldn't say added legs, but it added more fun to the game because then I was getting more power-ups. I love roguelikes and I like sort of catch 'em all games, though I was never into Pokemon. And when they said that they had made, I think on the podcast they said they made 40 characters, but there's like a little grimoire or something in here that seems to have 60 entries. I
Yeah.
didn't finish it, so I don't know if they're all Diablos, but anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there, and I like the idea of that, like collecting all these different characters and filling out a glossary of them or a dictionary or whatever. Anyway, so it was appealing. I wish I was a little faster on the crank. That was the only thing that really helped me back, but I don't feel like that's a detriment to the game. I feel like that's me. Like if I was faster, then I would be okay. And there are power-ups that make you circle faster, and I really liked those because it did help me quite a bit. I kind of wish there was like an assist that would make me circle the circle faster. There was a lot of variety to the power-ups. Some make you invisible, so it's a little tricky. Like Ryan said, some make the circle bigger or smaller for better or worse. Like if the circle's smaller, you can go around it really fast. If it's bigger, you're slower, but you can catch more stuff. Anyway, it was always cool to see kind of what was coming next, but it was tough. I faced a couple different bosses and I had a pretty tough time with them. I think I was just like too aggressive and I would end up dying just because I wasn't defensive enough. So I'm curious to see how you guys fared with the bosses. But it reminded me a lot of Cult of the Lamb is the big one. It looks like Cult of the Lamb. It's sort of the progression kind of felt like that. I don't think they mentioned it on the podcast. They mentioned more Binding of Isaac. I didn't really get an Isaac vibe from it, but I could see that, I guess. Anyway, I've talked enough about it. Nick, what did you think?
Hey, do you mind if I jump in here real quick? I wanted to jump off of something that Don said about the podcast. I caught that inconsistency too about the 40 Diablos versus 60 in the game. And while I did not complete the game, they did say that they were talking about this game prior to its release, and I think like quite a significant time prior to the release. So maybe they had developed additional Diablos since then.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
Yeah, they recorded it a couple months back.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe there was more developed since the recording.
Good point.
Anyway, sorry, Nick, go for it.
Okay. I too enjoy a good roguelike, and I enjoy filling a bestiary with information about demons. That's right in my wheelhouse. Um, and the idea that you're creating these salt circles to ensnare the demons is appealing. Um, the thing that I had trouble with, it was always a skill issue on my part. I didn't seem to be able to progress past that first stage, and I tried quite a number of times. I filled a chunk of the book. I don't know, maybe a fourth of it. I don't know. One of the things that's interesting about the book is, aside from the encounter that you have with the Diablos, occasionally they will leave behind a picture,
Hmm.
and that picture provides more context in the bestiary. There's a special name for it, the Diablo tome or something. Um,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun, and the illustrations are really fun and amusing in that book. So um, I too faced a couple different bosses in that first stage. There were, and I was not able to successfully complete either of them. I was able to very consistently get them down to one health remaining, and then always failed at that point. So not sure how to resolve that other than get better. um, so Don, it sounded like you had similar issues there. Ryan, were you able to progress past that first boss?
You're talking about like the Moonhead guy?
That's one of them. Mhm.
Yeah, I progressed past that, and there's like sort of a moon map. It's
Mhm.
sort of a circular map with like a few Roman numerals on it, and it looks like it goes from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3. I was able to get up to 2, and I got to the end of level 2, which has a series of rotating mirrors. That was the one that stopped me in my tracks. I battled that a couple few different times, and I could not figure out the pattern or the system that I was supposed to do. I encircled a mirror a few times. I understood that it changed, and um, an image of myself came up. Maybe I was supposed to get another circle once my image came up or something. I was just confused, honestly, on that one. So that's where I got held up. Don, how far did you get?
So I've got to the mirror guy as well. I guess slight spoiler for how you, if you really don't want to know any boss tactics, but on the mirror guy, you have to circle the salt when the mirrors are moving, not when the mirror's attacking. And so if you do it, it'll crack the mirror, and then you have to do that 3 or 4 times. So I got it down to one hit, and then it's going really, really fast in a tight circle. But then
Mhm.
it seems like anytime I would finish the circle, it would attack. Like
Yes.
instantly, it would attack. And so I'm not really sure. I didn't really figure out the mechanic on what makes it attack or not when I'm finishing the circle. Like I was just
I
like
had this
trying to crank and finish and finish and finish. You same thing,
same
Nick?
same issue, yeah. And that boss appears sometimes at the end of stage one. Um,
Oh, okay. I had the moon, I think,
Hmm.
like Ryan did.
Yeah.
well, this all takes place on the moon, right? So there's
Well, I
four
had the
different
moon
main
bad guy.
areas.
Yeah.
Oh, the moon bad guy. Yeah, yeah.
Moon
So
villain, yeah.
it can change apparently, or maybe I did something wrong. I don't know, but um, this I never progressed past stage one, and I did see a couple different boss examples. So I think it is maybe randomized
Huh.
lightly.
Interesting. I feel like I always got Mac tonight on level 1, and then the mirrors on level 2.
Yeah, same.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So there's like the pizza pie, right? So like you kill out stuff, you fill up the bar, then there's like this pizza looking thing in the stage, and then you circle that, it gives you a power up, and that's when the boss comes. I don't know what it is. It
Um,
looks like a pizza or something.
No, my feeling, and I could be wrong, very wrong, is that you had to complete that bar several times before the boss appeared, or maybe it's on a timer
That
because I typically would fill that bar 3 times before the
Oh,
boss would
okay.
appear.
Okay.
that was my understanding too, is that you filled the bar a few times, but I also wasn't completely sure what the like, is it a certain number of Diablos that you catch before the final boss appears? Sometimes it sort of felt like the final boss would just sort of appear when I hadn't circled anything. Um, so I don't really know. And to this end, while I really enjoyed this game and found myself playing it the most of the two games released this past week, I did find myself wishing for a more thorough onboarding system. There was like this small room that I think it must have been that level 0 that sort of
Mhm.
like has some outlines of half circles to sort of let you know, hey, move around in a half circle here or press a button. But the instruction was really minimal and didn't go over any nuances like some of these things we're talking about, like how many Diablos do you have to catch before a final boss appears, or can you circle cracks in the ground to bring up more power-ups like Don was talking about. Don, that was the first time I'd heard that. I had no idea, and I played this
Yeah,
game like
same.
dozens of times. So I again wishing for a more thorough onboarding, and then I think I could have enjoyed the game even more than I
Hmm.
did.
Yeah, this could have used like a Game Boy manual, like
Hmm.
like Gingerbread Man does, or a couple of Goloso games, a couple of those guys that were doing them early on. Not super in depth, not a 20-page fact or anything, just like a quick little, here's a picture, here's what it does. And still leave some mysteries in there. I think just killing things raises the bar, and then maybe those three eyeballs in the middle top center of the screen, closing all three eyes or opening all three eyes, is what causes the boss to spawn.
But then what
I'm not
opens
Okay.
or
sure.
closes eyes? Like
That's
I don't.
well, if you do that, you fill that bar three times, like Nick was saying, then the boss spawns. I was just like excited to collect demons, so I was just kept grabbing more. I wasn't really paying that much attention to what triggered the boss, but I noticed the bar filling up. I'm looking at the gifs on the page right now, and there is
Okay.
the pizza thing I was talking about. It is on. Of course, now I'm not seeing it. It's on the bottom gif. I don't know what that
It's like
is.
I thought that was like a sewer cover.
Yeah, it looks something like that.
Oh, are you talking? That's your power up, right?
Yeah, it becomes a power up.
Yeah, you circle it and then a power up appears and then you can nab it. But you
Hmm.
can't nab the power up until you circle that sewer cap or whatever it's like a an ellipse with a moon and some stars in the middle of it or something like
Planetary
that.
system or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's just another variant of a power up.
Yes, that's the only way I was able to get power ups. I'm really curious about this circling of cracks thing you're talking about now.
Yeah, I don't see
Yeah,
the
once
cracks on any of these gifs, but it's like a white crack. And it'll be small
yeah,
at first, and then you circle it once it gets bigger, then you circle it again, and then you get a
it, it looks sort of like an X or a plus.
yeah.
Um, Don, I think you mentioned that in the Discord
Yeah.
for yeah, and I had no idea until you said that that was a thing, and then I was getting a whole lot more power ups. That's for sure.
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
Um, are there any power ups that last for the duration of the run, or are they all
Yeah.
timed?
No, it'll say temp if it's temporary, otherwise it's permanent.
Oh, is that
Okay.
right? I just assumed they
Huh.
lasted until you died.
No, but a lot of the permanent ones are kind of like, oh, you get an extra heart, that kind of thing. They're not like
Hmm.
Okay.
fun power up, superpower type things.
Hmm.
Extra hearts are fun.
Well, they're more utilities rather than power ups, I
They're
would say.
practical. They're a
Yeah, they're
practical gift,
practical.
Don.
Yeah. Everyone is tiny. That's a cool one. I just saw that. I haven't seen that in the game, but I see that in one of the gifs.
Hmm. I'm not sure how much longer we've
Yeah, we should
got
probably.
in us for CatchaDiablos, but before we turn it loose, I did want to mention something that we've not mentioned yet that was mentioned in the official Playdate podcast. Is that Amano is also developing another game called Devils on the Moon Pinball, and they have been doing so for quite some time. And CatchaDiablos is like a spiritual predecessor to Devils on the Moon, sort of a prequel to that game. It's not pinball, but it has a lot of similar characters and deals with some of the same themes, if I'm understanding correctly. I've not played Devils on the Moon pinball, but I do know it's been in development for quite some time. And it sounds like they were kind of developing these games in tandem with one another. And CatchaDiablos was just kind of further along when the call for season two catalog game submissions went out. So I think that kind of rose to the top in terms of what came out first. So, anyways, wanted to mention that in case folks were not aware of that too.
I should mention, I'm looking at the Devils on the Moon pinball page. It says there's 40 different demons to summon on that game. So maybe we got our
Mm.
wires crossed.
Hmm.
I think Nick and I have both played the beta for that.
Yes.
I think we can say that we enjoyed it. I don't think it's under NDA or anything like that, but very promising. Can't wait to play more of it.
I'll let you
Cool.
take the fall if it is, Don.
Yeah, I know. Oh gosh. Hope I'm not in trouble.
The lucrative world of Playdate game development. All
Oh
right.
Lord. This is the final
So
episode.
I guess that brings us to our second game of the week. Yes? Are we ready for this?
Let's do it.
Okay. Nick, you want to describe Shadowgate PD?
Yes, I would love to. All right. Uh, Ryan, Don,
Nick?
Shadowgate is one of my favorite games of all time. And
Wow.
so when it was announced that this was coming to the Playdate, I was real excited. And it was being developed by Pixel Ghost, which is, as we are all aware, one of the early adopters, one of the early developers. And I learned some things about Pixel Ghost in the official Playdate podcast. I was very impressed. But when I learned that he, former guest of the Hello Playdate podcast as well, was developing this game, I was even more excited. So, all that said, expectations sky high. Um,
No pressure, Pixel Ghost.
no pressure.
All the pressure.
All the pressure. So, this game, you are called to explore Castle Shadowgate in order to stop the Wizard Lord from taking over. And in order to do that, you have to solve a series of room based puzzles. And there are quite a few rooms in Castle Shadowgate. As part of the exploration of the castle, this is an area that's unfamiliar to you. So as you progress, you kind of build a mental map or an environmental map of each room, and you can take different actions in the different rooms. There are different themed rooms, like there's a room that has 3 mirrors, and when you step into this room, the player character, the protagonist, remarks that this reminds them of the funhouse mirrors at Otto's Fun Fair. And through one of those mirrors, you can smash the mirror and it reveals a door. So those are the types of puzzles that you might experience in different rooms, and those are that is an example of a room. There are many different kinds of rooms. There's like a laboratory. There's all sorts of different things that you can experience in this game and different environments you can explore. And your goal as you progress through this castle is just to kind of unravel the mystery that's involved in this Wizard Lord's resurrection. I feel like I'm saying the wrong term. I'm going to look this up later and feel real silly. After proclaiming this one of my favorite games of all time. I'm pretty sure it's Wizard Lord. Anyway, so in this game, it was originally released for Mac OS, and it was part of a series of games called Mac Venture. These were 1-bit uh, games that were graphically based. You used a mouse to interact. So everything is built around that idea. In the late 80s, they were ported to the NES. And so they were, a whole series of them was ported, Deja Vu, Shadowgate, and The Uninvited. And Deja Vu 2 was eventually ported to the Game Boy Color, but did not come over as part of the NES. At any rate, all those games are fantastic. Shadowgate is great. There are other versions that are available on the PC. Each of the versions differs. I've played them all. I love them all. So that said, when I played Pixel Ghost version here as part of Season 2, what I wanted to do was kind of compare it to the other versions that I'd played and kind of see the creative choices that were made. So when you've played a game for a long time, or you've read a book a number of times, watched a movie a number of times, observed beautiful art piece a number of times, you start to be able to discern nuance between the different versions. And something that I really enjoyed doing is playing games that were ported to different consoles or different computer systems or different whatever, in order to see what those differences are. This is a huge preamble to say that this game is unique in the pantheon of Shadowgate games. It combines some of the aspects of the NES version with some of the aspects of the Mac version, and then it does some things wholly on its own, because this game, believe it or not, was written in pulp, which is astounding to me. It utilizes pulp in ways that I don't believe we've seen before, where different items can have multiple different actions based on the state of the game. So it's really quite an interesting accomplishment, and I would love to talk super deeply about puzzle design and all this stuff. But before I get way into the weeds, Ryan, have you been able to play any Shadowgate PD?
Yes, I did play some Shadowgate PD, and this was my first introduction to Shadowgate. I had not played on Mac Venture, Macintosh computers, or NES, or Game Boy Color, or N64, or any of the other permutations. This was my introduction. So it looked like a real interesting dungeon crawler, very point and clicky. I'm a big Sierra kid, as probably said on this podcast many times before. So that is of interest to me. But I'm not sure. Actually, I am pretty sure. This week felt very busy to me in my life, and I think because of that, I wasn't able to give this game the shake that I wish I could have. It felt this is another like Ryan feeling part where I felt rushed trying to play through it and made my way through several puzzles and several rooms and did the thing, got stuck, looked up a walkthrough, got unstuck, progressed further, and enjoyed several aspects about it, like being able to uh, use this pretty static environment to select different actions and poke at things or look at things or pick something up or break it or open it or walk through it or do whatever. I thought that was really well done. It all worked very smoothly to me, but once I saw the walkthrough and then I did a quick scroll down, I was like, oh my God, this game is huge. And I thought to myself, 12-year-old Ryan would have relished in this game, just being able to come home from school and hop on the NES or the Playdate in this case and make my way through a few rooms, try a few puzzles, make some progress, chat with my buddies about it. Like this would have been so flippin' cool. 40 something odd year old Ryan with, a bunch of obligations. I really had a hard time getting into it. And it's not the game's fault. It's adult Ryan's fault. So I wish I were at a different place in my life for this larger game, especially after I hear Nick say this is one of his favorite games of all time. It really makes me want to come back at another point and give it a go, or maybe try playing it over the course of months instead of a singular week, like we're trying to do with these games for the duration of season two here. Um, I also have some other thoughts about like music composition that I'd like to get into and questions I'd like to
Mhm.
ask about that. But before I get into that too far, why don't we hear from Don first? Don, what was your experience like with Shadowgate PD?
Yeah, like Ryan, I had never played this game, but I didn't have a NES or a Mac as a kid. But if I had played this when I was between 10 and 13, I probably would have loved it as a kid as well. Um, that like sort of pre-internet age where I was playing a lot of Game Boy games, Metroid 2, the Final Fantasy Legend and Adventure and those type of games. I was really into those things. Uh, Maniac Mansion, Day of the Tentacle, all those LucasArts things. Yeah, this would have been up my alley at that time. And going to school the next day and talking to people about it. Of course, if you could bring your playdates to school, even better. We probably would have all been crowded around it. Uh, yeah, I think I would have really relished the time that I had back then to dig into it, and not being able to look up stuff online would have been really cool. But I do like that there are walkthroughs. I did watch the Destination Playdate video, and it was clear that he had played it because he was just like bam, 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 bam. Oh,
Hmm.
you find a key here, you do this, you do that. And it like all made sense when he was playing it. And his video is only, I don't know, 10 minutes long or something. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll do the same thing he did through the first 5 rooms or however many, 3 rooms. But then when I sat down, I watched the video first, and then I sat down with the game, and I was like, I immediately forgot whatever he did to do with the key or something. Like I grabbed the torches. I guess you just grab every torch in the game. But then I
Mhm.
immediately got stuck like a couple rooms in. And I was like, oh man. Like Nick and probably by this point Ryan know that this is not my kind of game. Like I don't have the brain and the patience for point and click adventures anymore. I just don't. And I'm not going to click on everything. That said, I am amazed at how legible the game is and like
Yes.
how well crafted it is.
Mhm.
Just like this tiny little screen and all this information that the game needs to give you works really well. It's just all right there, but you can tell what everything is. Maybe, Nick, you'd have to speak to this. Maybe there's some pixel hunting at some point, which I would be afraid of, but I didn't see
S-
any of that in the Destination Playdate stuff, and I didn't experience any of it.
So there are certain items that you need to pick up at different points, and if you are not, cognizant, if it doesn't register for you that they are different from the background, that would be a bit of a challenge. And I'll
Okay.
talk about ways to mitigate that challenge momentarily because Shadowgate is pretty neat in the way that it handles that.
Okay.
Um,
Uh,
Yeah, there was kind of an early what I thought would have been real difficult for me to find had I not accidentally seen it in a walkthrough portion that I'd like to chat about as well.
okay. The sound was cool. The dialogue was cool. Like, I mean, it's a classic, and you could easily tell that it was a classic game. Like it earned its status. Like it still felt good. Like the game felt like a quality game here 35 or 40 years later or whatever. And so if I noticed that there's like a Shadowgate remake or something on Switch and whatnot,
mhm. Yep.
which looks a lot different than this, but I kind of like this like style. I don't know. This one looks
Yeah.
cool. The
The aesthetic.
Shadowgate,
Yeah.
the aesthetic, yeah, the Shadowgate remake looks nice and whatnot, but it just looks like a million other games, whereas this doesn't. This looks interesting. This looks cool. Sorry, I just hit my mic.
The
Anyway,
remake has a very painterly aesthetic, and
yeah,
it's quite different.
it looks
It's
like a
also
mobile game.
expanded in a few different ways. They just released a sequel, like a spiritual successor to the NES Shadowgate called Beyond Shadowgate, and
Hmm,
that's done in an almost 8-bit style, um, as the NES Shadowgate was.
cool.
Um,
I'll let you guys take over. So yeah, I obviously did not finish it. Like Ryan said, we only have a week to play it for this podcast. I'll probably go back and chip away at it because Pixel Ghost knows that I've really enjoyed all of his other games. So I'm a fan of the dev, not a fan of the genre.
Very good. Um, so we talked about pixel hunting previously, and one thing which I should mention is that this game is menu based, in that you have a view of a room which may have several interactable elements, and you find something you want to interact with, be it look at it, use it, open it, hit it, speak at it, whatever the case is, and you press the A button and it'll open up a menu. And this menu gives you all the different verb commands. So you can tell that this is an offshoot or an evolution of the parser based games where you have get lamp and you type that in and then you pick up the lamp. This is a point and click version of a parser type game. So that's how that was implemented. The way that it's specifically done with pulp is really interesting, because in the Mac version or the NES version, you have a cursor that you can move smoothly about the environment. In the pulp version, the cursor is moving in chunks, blocks. Um, so you have several different presses to move the cursor where you want it to be, and then several presses to select the verb of choice, and then several more presses to navigate to the appropriate area and click the button to do the thing. Um, so it's a little different of a pointing environment than any of the other ports that exist that I've played, at least, and it's it's interesting. It's really a different way to experience these puzzles because it forces you to sort of slow down and interact with them in a different context. Like you're not ramming through commands like you can on the Mac OS version or the NES version. You're really kind of picking your spot and choosing. And one of the things also that's very interesting about this port is its marriage of those NES elements with the Mac elements. So in the Mac version, there was a fully graphical inventory system, but it was very limited. In the NES version, they went to a fully text-based inventory system. So you'd have
Hmm.
this really super organized adventurer's notebook, and they would write down, you know, Bitcoin or something like that, and then you could select it very easily just by paging down through your notebook and clicking on the spot. In this case, what Pixel Ghost has done is expanded the inventory and still made it graphical. So every item that you pick up appears as a graphical element in the big inventory box, and you have 6 pages of inventory that you can page through. Items that you pick up will appear on these pages. I am not certain if they appear based on what you're currently carrying. In other words, if there's a space to pick up that coin, does it appear on the first page, or does it always appear on page number 3 or number 4 or whatever the case is at the time that you pick it up? So one of the things that's sort of interesting, and again requires deliberate action in this sport, is finding that item that you want to use and then using it and applying it to the environment. I found myself using the look command pretty heavily in order to identify some things. Most of the time it was very obvious, but there are a number of keys, for example, that you pick up throughout the game, and each one has a different visual representation in the inventory. This one might be at an angle. This one might have a larger loop. This one might be pointing to the right, and the other one may be pointing to the left. There's a number of different ways that the items are rendered, and that's the same as in the Mac version. But it required a little bit more forethought than, here is key 4, use it over here. Which key is this? I don't remember. It was a refrain that I found myself saying. The other interesting thing about this port is that it was written in pulp and therefore uses the synthesizer of the Playdate for all the music. And the music is all the synthesized versions that were used in the NES port, slightly modified, and of course using the Playdate's hardware instead of the NES, which has 4 sound channels and all this other technical stuff. But I thought it came out really well based upon the hardware that was there. Now, I did not play with headphones. I played just using the Playdate speaker. So I don't know what the headphone experience is. But being able to hear those familiar themes played through the Playdate's synthesizer was really cool. And I quite enjoyed that. And one last thing, I know I'm gushing about this game. As I said, this is one of my favorite games, period. So it's really cool that someone has taken it upon themselves to get the licensing, create this game, and release this as part of season 2. I just am really quite appreciative that this exists. But graphically, on the official Playdate podcast, Oliko was talking about how he quickly realized that he needed to hire an artist to complete these environments. And it's really quite impressive the way that all these graphics appear in the Playdate version. They're their own thing. They're not the Mac graphics. They're not the NES graphics. They're this really cool mixture of the two and provide quite a bit more clarity than the Mac versions of the graphics, and obviously less color than the NES versions. But anyway, the script is unchanged from the NES version, I believe. Guys, it's the Warlock Lord, not the Wizard Lord. I knew I was saying that incorrectly.
You call yourself a fan.
Fair
I
weather
know.
fan.
That's exactly it. I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody. So anyway, that's my thoughts about the game. I really enjoyed playing through it. Some of the puzzles were not necessarily intuitive, or they may not have had the same solutions that I've always used in my gameplay. That's not a bad thing. It was just not expected, and threw me for a bit of a loop once or twice. And I did have to look at a walkthrough a couple of times just to make sure I was not misremembering something, and found a new puzzle solution to one of the puzzles that I always choose a different solution to. So that was cool.
Very cool. Are you ready? Oh, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, Nick, I was going to ask you about the music. You mentioned that at one point. How faithful was this Playdate rendition of the music to the NES or Mac version? Was it pretty faithful, or was it its own thing?
It's sort of its own thing, but you can definitely tell that it was heavily inspired by the NES version. You can pick out the themes. You can hear a bit of the nuance and tone come through. It is different hardware, so you get a much different experience, auditory experience. But I always appreciate heavy use of the synthesizer in the Playdate. I know I've talked about that before, but sampled music is something that's all around us. We hear it all the time, everywhere, and that's its own thing, and it's also very cool. But I think it's really neat that there's dedicated hardware in the Playdate to reproduce these sounds, and people who are able to twist it in interesting ways or familiar ways, like in the case of Shadowgate, is always really appealing to me. So that was long-winded, but there you go.
Cool. Well, thank you, Nick. And Don, I think I cut you off there. What were you going to say before?
Now I was going to see if you guys were ready to rank.
Ooh, ranking time.
I'm
Rank
going
some
last this
games.
time. You guys first.
What was there? Oh, Diablos. Diablos. Okay. All right. So I'll go bottom up. I'll go bottom up. All right, number 7. Oh, everybody's entering their stuff, so the list is moving all around. All right, so I've got number 7, Long Puppy. Number 8, Long Puppy. Number 7, Shadowgate PD. Number 6, Fulcrum Defender. Number 5, Wheel Sprung. Number 4, what's it called? Diablos.
CatchaDiablos.
CatchaDiablos.
CatchaDiablos. Diablos. Is that what it's called? CatchaDiablos. I kept
Yeah.
thinking it started with a D. CatchaDiablos. Number 3, Otto's Galactic Groove. Number 2, The Whiteout. Number 1, Dig Dig Dino.
Cool. All right, I'll go next. Number 8 for me is Fulcrum Defender. Number 7 is Wheel Sprung. 6, Long Puppy. 5, CatchaDiablos. 4, Otto's Galactic Groove. 3, Dig Dig Dino. 2, Shadowgate PD. And 1, The Whiteout.
Cool. For me, number 8, Wheel Sprung. Number 7, Otto's Galactic Groove. 6, Shadowgate PD. 5, CatchaDiablos. 4, Long Puppy. 3, Fulcrum Defender. 2, Dig Dig Dino. And number 1 is still the Whiteout for me.
Pretty crazy that they're all, I mean, it's all pretty good games, you know? It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, we got bad games on here. But
Yeah, and it's interesting to see again. I think we've mentioned this before, but how different our 3 lists are. Like my number 3 is Nick's last, and my last is neither of your lasts. It's
mhm.
like you said, a bunch of good games here. Kind of ranking personal preferences rather than validity of games here. Although I
Mm,
guess that's what any ranking system really is, isn't it?
that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. 2 weeks left, 4 more games.
Jimmy Beans. All
Zzz.
right. Well, it was fabulous talking with you gentlemen this week, as it is every week. And I guess we better let everyone know that they can find us at playdatepodcast.com. They can also find us on the YouTubes, youtube.com at Helloplaydatepodcast. We do a little bit of socializing on the medias. You can find us at Instagram at HelloPlaydate. We're also on the Blue Skis. That's helloplaydate.bsky.social. We are also repping that Bingo's tip line. You've heard it for 80 some odd episodes at this point, and it's coming back at you this time. That's 724 Bingo's 1. That's 724-246-4671. Share your melodious voice with us. We want to hear you so badly. And you can even, if you're shy about the Bingo's tip line, you can also email us at helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com. Did I miss anything, guys?
You did.
What? Oh, yes, I
Would,
sure did. Oh, yeah. Nick,
would
Nick, I feel like you should take this one away.
Well, Ryan, thank you for that. Today is announcement day for
Whoop,
my new
whoop.
game.
New game
It's
day.
it's called Steelbound, and Steelbound is a role-playing adventure for the P3 pinball platform. It's compatible with 8 different play fields. There are a ton of different characters to befriend, and that friendship brings power. But also, there's a mystery to unravel. And in order to unravel it, you must climb inside a giant pinball shaped robot in order to explore procedurally generated dungeons and fight enemies and learn about a catastrophe that may befall the world and pinball as a whole. So, if you would like to learn more and follow development, I have a website, steelboundpinball.com. That'll be linked in the show notes as well. Thanks, guys.
That description sounds amazing, by the way. I want to climb into a giant pinball-shaped robot and defend the world and pinball as we know it and
Hell yeah.
meet cool people. That sounds amazing.
Thank you very much.
I really want to try this one.
Yeah,
It looks amazing.
There's so many things you're doing here that are just flat out industry firsts, like a game that can be played across 8 different play fields. Like, what? And this like interaction with different character system and anyway, not to mention, and I'm saying this as an artist, you've got a killer artist behind you on this with John Chad, who's a fellow cartoonist who is just like second to none in terms of illustrating mech. And so when I heard that you were having him draw giant robots, I'm like, yes, just you're allowing him to do what he does best. And I've can I say I think I can now. You've released images. I've seen some of this stuff, and it's just mind blowing. Anyway, I'm very excited and I can't wait to play it. And I think everybody should be excited about this. So kudos on all the work you've got in here so far, Nick, and good luck producing all the rest of the work you have before releasing this game. I know it's a lot.
Thanks very much. Yeah. As part of the announcement, one of my collaborators, so John Chad is one of them, and he's doing all the 2D artwork. And there is a massive amount of artwork in any pinball game, and this game in particular has a ton of artwork. But I also worked with Charles Wolfe, who composed the original soundtrack for the game. There's over 2 hours of original music in this game, and he's released the entire thing on his SoundCloud for your listening pleasure. So if you would like to hear, yes.
Can we toss that in the show notes too? I want to listen to that.
I'll add the link. So yeah, I've worked with some incredibly talented people on this game, and I'm very proud of how it is currently, and there's still much work to be done. But this is just the announcement day. But I'm very, very excited and thankful to be able to share that with everybody. Thanks for letting me have this time, guys.
Yeah. And I don't think you mentioned it, but there's a website, steelboundpinball.com. That's STEEL boundpinball.com if you want to check it out. And as you just clarified, today is game announcement day, not game release day. I think I may have misspoke and said game release day earlier. That is not the case. Game announcement day. But to clarify further, can you let our dear listeners know approximately when this game might be available?
Ryan's putting the pressure on.
Screws are turning.
I'm targeting towards the end of 2025 or first quarter 2026, just depending on how some manufacturing things go in some other areas. But yeah, I'm very excited. Things have progressed quite a ways. So I've been working on this since the release of Drained back in 2022. So it's been cooking for a while.
Yeah. It's been fun looking over your shoulder as this has been coming to fruition and just getting an understanding of this whole crazy concept and how ambitious it all is. It's like
that's the right word.
It's really impressive.
It's quite unique, and hopefully that is something that people will enjoy. One small point of clarification: you mentioned this is the first game that utilizes multiple playfield modules, and actually Ian Harrower from Ian Harrower Games developed a game called Birdwatcher, which is compatible and has different actions on each different playfield module.
That's right. Thank you for correcting me. Yeah, awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I find myself in good company.
Right on. Well, big shouts to Ian Harrower and big shouts to you, Nick, for this extraordinarily ambitious game. I can't wait to play it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Very cool. Don't know what else to say. What else to add to that? Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Wish I
All
lived
right.
near a P3,
Well, I'll have
but
to,
maybe someday.
I'll have to make a road trip. That's the
Yeah,
deal.
drag it out of here. All right, cool. Well, we'll catch you guys next week.
All right.
All
See you
right,
Talk to you later.
then.
bye.